The massive alien ships moved through space like dark metal mountains. They blocked out stars as they came closer to the small blue planet called Earth. Admiral Vextari stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Fist of Justice. His 6 arms crossed over his chest as he looked at the viewing screen. The planet below looked so peaceful and quiet. Another easy victory, he said to himself. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. Behind him, hundreds of alien officers worked at their stations. They all wore the same dark gray uniforms of the Galactic Council Navy. Most of them had fought in dozens of battles. They had conquered many worlds. Earth would be just another name on their long list. Commander Zephyra walked up to the Admiral. She was smaller than him, but her blue skin had the same battle scars that marked all good Council soldiers. Sir, we have completed our scan of the planet. The humans have very basic technology. We count about 8 billion of them living on the surface. Vextari nodded slowly. Good, the same as always. A young species that thinks they are alone in the universe. He turned to face his crew. Officers, today we bring another world into the Council. The humans will learn to serve the greater good of the galaxy, the crew cheered. They had heard these words many times before. First would come the threat, then the fear, then the surrender. It was always the same pattern. Every species eventually bowed before the power of the Galactic Council. Open a channel to the planet, Vextari ordered. Let us begin. A human face appeared on the main screen. The creature looked strange to the alien crew. It had only 2 eyes and its skin was a pale pink color. The human appeared to be middle-aged with gray hair and small glasses on its nose. It wore a simple dark suit. Greetings, the human said in perfect Council standard language. I am Secretary General Harrison of the United Nations. We have been expecting you. Vextari blinked all 4 of his eyes. Expecting them? How could these primitives have been expecting anything? He shook his head and began the standard speech he had given 1,000 times before. Primitive species of the 3rd planet, he said in his most threatening voice. I am Admiral Vextari of the Galactic Council Navy. Your world has been selected for integration into our empire. You will surrender all military forces. You will give us access to all your resources. Your people will serve the Council. You have 1 standard day to comply, or we will take your world by force. The human called Harrison listened quietly. When Vextari finished speaking, Harrison smiled, actually smiled. The Admiral had never seen such a reaction to the ultimatum. Thank you for that information, Admiral, Harrison said politely. We have a response prepared for you. Vextari expected to hear words of fear or desperate attempts to bargain for more time. Instead, Harrison reached for something off-screen and picked up what looked like a simple piece of paper. The people of Earth formally decline your offer, Harrison read from the paper. However, we would like to invite you and your crews to visit our planet as our guests. We have prepared comfortable accommodations and would be honored to share our culture with you. We believe we have much to learn from each other. The bridge of the Iron Fist fell completely silent. Officers stopped working and stared at the screen. Zephyra's mouth dropped open. In 300 years of conquest, no species had ever responded like this. Vextari felt his anger rising. Human, you do not understand. We are not here to make friends. We are here to claim your world. You cannot stop us. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your weapons are primitive. Your defenses are worthless. Harrison nodded thoughtfully. You're probably right about our technology. But Admiral, we still must respectfully decline your ultimatum. He paused and looked directly into the camera. However, our invitation for tea and conversation remains open. We have some excellent restaurants in New York City if you are interested. Tea? Restaurants? Vextari could not believe what he was hearing. He looked around at his crew. They all seemed just as confused as he was. Are you mocking me, human? Vextari demanded. Do you think this is some kind of joke? Not at all, Admiral. Harrison replied seriously. We take first contact very seriously. We have been preparing for this moment for a very long time. We would genuinely like to meet you in person and discuss our future together. Commander Zephyr stepped forward. Sir, perhaps the humans do not understand the situation. Should I show them a demonstration of our firepower? Vextari considered this. Usually a few destroyed cities made species much more cooperative. But something about this human's calm attitude bothered him. Harrison was not acting like someone whose world was about to be conquered. Human, Vextari said slowly, let me be very clear. We have 500 warships in your system. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy your largest cities. Our shields can protect us from anything you might try to use against us. Our soldiers are trained warriors from dozens of different worlds. What could you possibly have that would make you so confident? Harrison smiled again. This time his smile looked almost sad. Admiral, we have something that your council has forgotten about in all your years of conquest. We have hope. We believe that different species can work together, instead of fighting. We think the galaxy would be a better place if we all shared our knowledge instead of taking it by force. The Admiral laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Hope? You think hope will stop our plasma cannons? You think hope will protect your cities from orbital bombardment? Maybe not, Harrison admitted. But we would still like to try talking first. Would you consider meeting with some of our representatives? We could arrange something neutral, perhaps on one of your ships. Vextari had heard enough. This human was either completely insane or hiding something. Either way, the time for talking was over. You have made your choice, human, he said coldly. We will take your world by force. Your people will learn to respect the power of the Galactic Council. Harrison's expression grew more serious, but he still did not look afraid. We are sorry to hear that, Admiral. We had hoped we could resolve this peacefully, he paused. If you change your mind about our invitation, please let us know. We will be ready to welcome you. The transmission ended. The bridge of the Iron Fist buzzed with confused conversation. Sir, Zephyr said quietly. That was the strangest surrender negotiation I have ever seen. That was not a surrender, Vextari replied grimly. That was something else entirely. He turned to face his weapons officer. Prepare the fleet for standard planetary assault. Target their major population centers. We will show these humans what happens when they refuse the Council's generous offer. Yes, sir, the weapons officer responded. Should we try to minimize casualties? Vextari thought about Harrison's strange smile and calm voice. No, make it quick and decisive. I want these humans to understand their mistake as soon as possible. As the alien fleet moved closer to Earth, Admiral Vextari could not shake the feeling that something was very wrong. In all his years of conquest, he had learned to recognize the signs of a species that was truly defeated. Fear in their voices, desperation in their actions. Attempts to bargain or beg for mercy, the humans had shown none of these signs. Instead, they had offered tea and conversation. They had spoken of hope and cooperation. They had acted like they actually wanted the aliens to visit their world. Vextari stared at the blue planet growing larger on his screen. Either the humans were the most naive species he had ever encountered, or they knew something that he did not. As his warships prepared to fire their first shots, the Admiral hoped it was the former dot, because if it was the latter, then the Galactic Council was about to learn something new about conquest. And in his long experience learning new things, during a battle was rarely a good sign. The first wave of Council ships entered Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Admiral Vextari watched from his command chair as hundreds of assault craft descended toward the major cities. This was always his favorite part of a conquest. The moment when a primitive species realized how outmatched they truly were. Sir, reported Lieutenant Kexanos from the communications station, we are receiving thousands of transmissions from the planet's surface. Surrender offers already? Vextari asked with satisfaction. Put them on the main speakers? The bridge filled with human voices speaking in dozens of different languages. But as the universal translator processed the words, Vextari's satisfaction turned to confusion. Welcome to Earth, visitors from space. We are so excited to meet you. Please be careful during your landing. The weather is a bit stormy over the Pacific. Does anyone know if aliens like pizza? Commander Zephyra walked up to the Admiral's chair. Her blue face showed the same bewilderment that Vex Story felt. Sir, these transmissions are not coming from their military or government. They appear to be from ordinary civilians. Civilians? Vex Story repeated. Why are civilians trying to contact us? I believe they are trying to welcome us, sir. The Admiral stared at the communications display. Red dots showed transmission sources all across the planet. There were thousands of them, all sending messages of greeting and curiosity, not fear, not panic. Not even military challenges, just welcome messages, sir, called out the tactical officer. Our advanced scouts are reporting something unusual. The humans are gathering in their city centers, but they are not evacuating. They appear to be celebrating. Vex Story stood up from his chair. What do you mean, celebrating? Live video feeds show large crowds of humans in the streets. They are holding signs and banners. Many appear to say welcome and hello in various human languages. Some humans are wearing costumes that appear to be their interpretation of what aliens might look like. This was completely wrong. Every species the Council had ever conquered followed the same pattern. First came denial that the invasion was real. Then came panic as people tried to flee the cities. Then came desperate attempts by their military to fight back. Finally came surrender when they realized their weapons were useless, but the humans were throwing parties. Open a channel to Strike Group 7, Vex Story ordered. I want to speak to Captain Mordax directly. The scarred face of Captain Mordax appeared on the screen. Behind him, the bridge of his destroyer showed red emergency lights flashing. Admiral, we have a problem. Report, Captain. Sir, we attempted to target the human city called New York for our first bombardment. But when we fired our plasma cannons, the energy beams just stopped. Something is blocking them. Vex Story felt a cold sensation in his stomach. What do you mean, stopped? The weapons fired normally, sir. But about 50 kilometers above the city, the plasma beams hit some kind of barrier. The energy was absorbed completely. No damage to the target, no visible shield generators. The barrier just appeared when we fired. Try again, Captain. Use maximum power. Already did, sir. Same result? Whatever is protecting that city is beyond our current understanding. Vex Story looked at Zephyra. She was studying her tactical display with growing concern. Sir, she said quietly, I am receiving similar reports from all attack groups. Every major human city appears to be protected by some form of energy shield. But our sensors cannot detect the source of these shields. That is impossible, Vex Story said firmly. Their technology is primitive. We confirmed this in our initial scans. Yes, sir. But the shields are definitely there. A new voice came over the communications system. It was Secretary General Harrison again. Admiral Vex Story, are you experiencing some technical difficulties? We noticed your ships have stopped firing. Would you like us to send some technicians to help with repairs? The bridge fell silent. Even the normally busy background sounds of the ship's operations seemed to stop. How did they know we stopped firing? Vex Story asked slowly. Zephyra checked her instruments. Sir, they should not have been able to monitor our weapon systems from the planet's surface. Their communication technology is not advanced enough for that level of scanning. Harrison's voice continued. We have prepared landing areas for your ships if you would like to come down and discuss the situation. We have medical facilities ready in case any of your crew were injured during the atmospheric entry. Medical facilities? Vex Story repeated. Why would they think our crew was injured? Sir, the ship's doctor reported over the internal communication system. We have 17 crew members in the medical bay with various injuries from the atmospheric entry. Nothing serious, but they did require treatment? How did the humans know that? Zephyra whispered. Vex Story felt like the deck was shifting under his feet. Standard atmospheric entry never caused injuries to Council ships. Their technology was far too advanced for that. Unless... Doctor, what kind of injuries? Mostly minor burns from console overload, sir. And some crew members reported headaches and dizziness. The ship's environmental systems had some fluctuations during entry. Console overloads. Our systems are shielded against electromagnetic interference. Yes, sir. That is what makes these malfunctions so unusual. Harrison's voice came through the speakers again. Admiral, we understand that your ship's systems may be experiencing some difficulties. Earth's electromagnetic field is quite different from what your vessels are designed for. We would be happy to help you adjust your equipment to compensate. Commander Zephyr looked at her readings again. Sir, how could they know about our electromagnetic shielding? That information is classified at the highest levels of Council security. Vextari did not answer. He was beginning to understand that this invasion was not going according to any plan he had ever learned. Sir, reported the communications officer, we are receiving a transmission from Captain Rixthal S. Assault Group. They request immediate assistance. Put them through. Captain Rixthal S.'s ship appeared to be drifting in space. Smoke was visible. On her bridge, and several of her officers were clearly injured. Admiral, she said, her voice strained. We attempted to engage a group of small human vessels near their moon. But when we fired, our weapons somehow overloaded. The energy feedback damaged our primary systems. We are currently running on emergency power. What kind of human vessels? Vextari demanded. Small craft, sir? Nothing that should have posed any threat to a Council destroyer. But when our weapons targeted them, the energy was somehow redirected back at us. Are the humans attacking you? No, sir. That is the strange part. After our systems failed, the human ships approached us. They are offering assistance. Vextari stared at the screen. Assistance? They say they have repair equipment and medical supplies. They want to help fix our ship. Do not let them board your vessel, Captain. Sir, with respect, we may not have a choice. Life support is failing, and several of my crew need medical attention that our damaged systems cannot provide. Harrison's voice came through the communications again. Admiral, we are tracking the distress signal from your vessel near Luna. We have rescue ships on the way. Please do not be concerned. We will take good care of your people. How did they detect our distress signal? Zephyr asked. Captain Rixthal. Never sent one on any frequency the humans should be able to monitor. Vextari felt a growing sense that he was no longer in control of this situation. Every assumption he had made about human capabilities was proving wrong. Their shields were stronger than anything in the Council database. Their sensors were detecting information they should not have access to. Their response to invasion was completely unlike any species he had ever encountered. Sir, the tactical officer reported, long-range sensors are detecting approximately 200 human vessels approaching from the far side of their moon. They appear to be medical and repair ships? 200 ships? Where did they come from? Unknown, sir. They were not there during our initial system scan. It is as if they appeared from nowhere. Harrison's voice returned. Admiral, our rescue. Fleet will reach your damaged vessel in approximately 30 minutes. We have doctors trained in treating 17 different alien physiologies, and our engineers are familiar with Council ship designs. Your crew will be safe. Zephyr looked up from her console. Sir, how could they possibly be familiar with our ship designs? This is supposed to be first contact. Vextari sat heavily in his command chair. For the first time in his long military career, he was beginning to suspect that the Galactic Council might not be the most advanced civilization in this part of the galaxy. Open a channel to all ships, he ordered. All vessels are to maintain current positions. No further offensive actions until we understand what we are dealing with. Sir, Zephyr said quietly, what do we tell the Council? Admiral Vextari looked at the peaceful blue planet on his screen. Somewhere down there, 8 billion humans were waiting to welcome his invasion fleet with medical supplies and repair equipment. Tell them, he said slowly, that we may have found something we were not prepared for. Admiral Vextari stood in his private quarters, staring out at the large gray sphere that humans called their moon. For the past 6 hours, he had watched his mighty invasion fleet become something he never thought possible, a rescue operation. Being helped by the very people they came to conquer, Captain Rixthel's ship was now surrounded by small human vessels. The aliens who had come to destroy Earth were receiving medical care and technical assistance from human doctors and engineers. Every report that came back made less sense than the last. A soft chime indicated someone was requesting entry to his quarters. "Come," he called. Commander Zephyr entered, carrying a datapad and wearing an expression that mixed confusion with something that might have been fear. "Admiral," she said carefully, "we have received the preliminary reports from the human rescue teams working on Captain Rixthel's ship. And, sir, the humans appear to know more about our technology than we do." Vexthari turned away from the window. "Explain." Zephyr activated her datapad. The human engineers identified the cause of our weapons overload within minutes of boarding the damaged ship. They said the plasma charging coils were configured incorrectly for operations in this solar system-specific electromagnetic environment. That is impossible. Our ships are designed to operate in any electromagnetic field. Yes, sir. But according to the human engineers, our design has a flaw that only becomes apparent in systems with a certain type of solar wind pattern. They showed Captain Rixthel how to recalibrate the weapons to prevent future overloads. Vexthari felt a headache building behind his 4 eyes. How could humans possibly know about a flaw in Council technology? "That is not the strangest part, sir." Zephyr scrolled through her data. The human medical team correctly identified the biological requirements for 7 different alien species in Captain Rixthel's crew. They provided medical care that was not only appropriate but superior to what our own medical bay could provide. Superior? The humans used advanced techniques that healed injuries in half the time our standard procedures require. They also treated medical conditions that our crew did not even know they had. Admiral Vexthari sat down heavily in his chair. "What kind of conditions?" "Minor genetic flaws that cause long-term health problems in several species. The humans fixed them as if they were routine procedures. Captain Rixthel reports that her crew feels better than they have in years." A communication signal chimed. Vexthari accepted the incoming transmission, and Secretary General Harrison's calm face appeared on his screen. "Good evening, Admiral," Harrison said politely. "I hope your crew is recovering well from their technical difficulties." "Human," Vexthari said slowly. "I want answers. How do you know so much about our technology and biology?" Harrison smiled. That same peaceful smile that had bothered the Admiral since their first conversation. "We have been studying, Admiral. Learning is something humans enjoy very much." "Studying what? This is supposed to be first contact." "First official contact, yes. But the galaxy is full of information for those who know how to look for it." Before Vexthari could ask what that meant, his tactical officer's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Admiral, to the bridge immediately. Priority alert." Vexthari looked at Harrison. "We will continue this conversation later, human." "Of course, Admiral, we will be here." The transmission ended, and Vexthari hurried to the bridge with Zephyr close behind. When they arrived, the entire crew was staring at the main viewing screen in shocked silence. Earth's moon was changing. The gray surface was opening like a flower. Massive sections of rock were sliding apart to reveal gleaming metal structures underneath. What had appeared to be a natural satellite was transforming into something that looked like the largest space station Vexthari had ever seen. "Report," he ordered, his voice barely steady. "Sir," the tactical officer said, his hands shaking as he worked his controls. "The moon is not a moon. It appears to be an artificial construct of incredible size and complexity. Our sensors are detecting energy readings that are—" He paused and checked his instruments again. "Sir, the power output from that station is greater than our entire fleet combined. Weapon platforms were emerging from the moon's surface, but they were not pointing at the Council ships. Instead, they were creating a protective sphere around both the human planet and the alien fleet." "Sir," Zephyr said quietly, "I am detecting similar energy signatures from 17 other locations in this solar system. It appears the humans have defensive installations on multiple planets and asteroids. How long have these been here?" Vextari demanded. Unknown, sir. But based on the construction materials and energy patterns, some of these installations appear to be centuries old. Harrison's voice came through the communication system again. Admiral, please do not be alarmed by our defensive systems activating. They are designed to protect everyone in the area, including your ships. Protect us? Vextari asked. From what? From any unfortunate accidents that might occur during our negotiations. We would hate for anyone to be hurt because of misunderstandings about technology or intentions. Vextari looked at his crew. Every face showed the same realization that was growing in his own mind. The humans had not been unprepared for this invasion. They had been ready for it for a very long time. Human, he said slowly, how long have you known we were coming? We have been expecting some form of contact from the Galactic Council for approximately 237 years. Admiral, your empire is not as secret as you might think. 200 years? Give or take a few decades. We have been monitoring Council communications and activities for quite some time. We know about your methods of conquest, your technology levels, and your standard invasion procedures. Commander Zephyra stepped forward. If you knew we were coming, why did you not try to hide or prepare weapons to fight us? Harrison's voice took on a slightly sad tone. Commander, we spent those 2 centuries studying not just your technology, but your history. We learned about all the worlds you have conquered, all the species you have forced into your empire. We saw the pattern. What pattern? Vextari asked. Every species that tried to fight you was eventually defeated. Military resistance only led to more destruction and suffering, but we also noticed something else in your records. You have never encountered a species that responded to your arrival with genuine friendship and superior defensive technology. The bridge was silent except for the quiet humming of ship systems. So we decided to try something different, Harrison continued. Instead of building weapons to destroy you, we built defenses to protect everyone. Instead of preparing for war, we prepared for peace. We studied your languages so we could communicate with you. We learned about your biology so we could help you if you were injured. We analyzed your technology so we could offer improvements. Instead of just resistance, improvements? Vextari repeated. Oh yes, Admiral. Your ships are impressive, but there are several design flaws that we noticed. We would be happy to share our improvements with you. For example, your faster-than-light engines could be made 40% more efficient with some minor modifications. Zephyra looked at her instruments. Sir, he is correct. Our engine efficiency readings do show room for improvement. We also noticed that your life support systems put unnecessary stress on non-humanoid physiology, Harrison added. We have developed some modifications that would make long space voyages much more comfortable for your diverse crews. Why? Vextari asked. Why would you help us after we came here to conquer you? Harrison was quiet for a moment before answering. Because we believe that the galaxy would be a better place if different species worked together instead of fighting each other. We think that cooperation produces better results than conquest. But you could have destroyed our fleet, Vextari said. Your defensive capabilities are clearly superior to our offensive ones. Yes, we could have, but then what? You would send more ships. Other species would learn to fear us instead of trust us. The cycle of violence would continue, Harrison paused. We prefer to break cycles rather than continue them. Admiral Vextari looked around his bridge. His crew was listening to every word. Many of them had spent their entire lives serving the Council's military. They had conquered dozens of worlds. They had forced countless species into submission. And now they were being offered friendship by people who could have destroyed them easily. What do you want from us, human? Vextari asked finally. We want to invite you to land on our planet, Admiral. We want to show you what we have learned and what we have built. We want to share a meal with you and talk about the future. We want to prove that there is a better way for species to meet each other. Harrison's voice became more serious. And if you are willing to listen, we want to propose some changes to how the Galactic Council operates. Changes that could make the galaxy a safer and happier place for everyone. Vextari stared at the transformed moon, at the protective energy field surrounding both human and alien ships, at the readings showing human technology that was beyond anything in the Council's databases. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Vextari realized that his fleet had not come to conquer a primitive world. They had come to meet their teachers. 3 days had passed since the moon revealed its true nature. Admiral Vextari sat in his personal shuttle, watching Earth grow larger through the viewing port. For the first time in his military career, he was traveling to a planet not as a conqueror, but as a guest. Commander Zephyra sat across from him, nervously checking her equipment for the 5th time. "Sir, are you certain this is wise? We are going down to the planet with only a small escort." "Commander," Vextari replied, "if the humans wanted us dead, we would already be dead. Their technology is clearly superior to ours. If they meant U.S. harm, they would not need to trick us into landing." The shuttle bay of the Iron Fist had been busy for hours. Instead of loading weapons and assault troops, the crew had been loading gifts. The humans had specifically requested that the aliens bring examples of their art, music, and food to share. It was the strangest invasion preparation Vextari had ever seen. "Incoming transmission from Earth's surface," the pilot announced. A new human face appeared on the communications screen. This one was younger than Harrison, with dark skin and bright, curious eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with symbols that the Universal Translator identified as medical and scientific markings. "Good morning, Admiral Vextari," the woman said with a warm smile. "I am Dr. Sarah Chun, Director of First Contact Protocols for the United Nations. We are very excited to meet you in person." "Dr. Chun," Vextari replied carefully, "I must admit your species continues to surprise me. You have protocols for first contact?" Dr. Chun laughed, a pleasant sound that somehow made the Admiral feel more relaxed. "Oh yes, we have been planning for this meeting for a very long time. We have prepared a special facility just for occasions like this. It has environmental controls for 73 different alien physiologies, kitchens that can prepare food safe for 46 different digestive systems, and medical equipment designed for treating 17 different alien species." Zephyra looked up from her datapad. 17 different species? How could they know about different alien species if this is first contact? "That is an excellent question, Commander," Dr. Chun replied. "We will be very happy to explain everything once you arrive. We have prepared a full presentation about how we learned to prepare for your visit." The shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere smoothly. Unlike the violent entry that had damaged several Council ships earlier, this descent felt gentle and controlled. Through the viewing port, Vextari could see the surface of the human world clearly for the first time. It was beautiful. Green forests covered vast areas of land. Blue oceans sparkled in the sunlight. White clouds drifted peacefully across continents, filled with cities that looked clean and organized. Most importantly, there was no sign of the industrial pollution that marked most Council worlds. The planet looked healthy and well cared for. How do they keep their world so clean? Zephyr wondered aloud. "Another excellent question," Dr. Chun sighed. "Environmental care is very important to humans. We learned early in our development that a healthy planet makes healthy people. We will be happy to share our environmental technologies with the Council." The shuttle landed at a facility that looked more like a peaceful university than a military base. Gardens surrounded low, elegant buildings made of materials that seemed to glow softly in the sunlight. Humans in colorful clothing were gathered around the landing area, but they were not soldiers. They appeared to be scientists, doctors, teachers, and artists. As Vextari stepped out of the shuttle, the first thing that struck him was the air. It was clean and fresh, filled with scents of growing plants and flowers. The second thing he noticed was the group of humans waiting to greet them. Dr. Chun stepped forward, but she was not alone. Behind her stood representatives from what appeared to be every major human culture. People with different skin colors, different clothing styles, and different features, but they all wore the same expression of genuine curiosity and welcome. Admiral Vextari, Dr. Chun said formally. On behalf of all humanity, we welcome you to Earth. An elderly human with white hair and kind eyes stepped forward. I am Dr. James Okafor, representing the Earth Federation of Sciences. We have prepared a small gift for you and your crew. He handed Vextari a simple wooden box. Inside was a collection of items that made no immediate sense. Seeds, small electronic devices, data storage units, and what appeared to be artistic items. Seeds from our most beautiful flowers, Dr. Okafor explained. Music from our greatest composers, literature from our finest writers, and technical specifications for some of our most useful inventions. We thought you might like to take a piece of Earth with you when you leave. Vextari stared at the box. When we leave? You expect us to leave? Dr. Chun smiled. Admiral, you are not prisoners here. You came as invaders, but we hope you will. Leave as friends? Whether you stay for days or years is entirely up to you. But we came to conquer your world. Yes, we know. And we understand why? The Galactic Council has followed the same pattern for centuries. Find a planet, overwhelm it with superior technology, force it to join your empire. Dr. Chun paused. But we would like to propose a different arrangement. She gestured toward a nearby building. Would you like to see what we have learned about the Council? It might help explain why we have been so prepared for your arrival. The building they entered was unlike anything Vextari had seen before. The walls were covered with star charts, technical diagrams, and images of different alien species. But these were not the crude drawings he might expect from a primitive species. These were detailed, accurate representations of Council technology, biology, and culture. This is impossible, Zephyr whispered. These diagrams show the internal structure of our ships. This information is classified at the highest levels. Dr. Chun nodded. You are right, Commander. This information is highly classified, which is why it took us so long to gather it all. She led them to a large display showing a timeline that stretched back several centuries. We first detected Council communications in the year 1789 by your calendar. At that time, your empire was much smaller, and your communication methods were less secure. Vextari studied the timeline. You have been listening to our communications for over 200 years. Listening, learning, and preparing. We started with simple radio intercepts. Over time, we developed better technology to decode your more advanced communication methods. We learned your languages, your customs, your technology, and your history. Dr. Chin pointed to another section of the display. We also learned about every species the Council has conquered. We studied their cultures, their biology, their strengths and weaknesses. We wanted to understand not just the Council, but all the people who had been forced to join it. Why? Vextari asked. Why spend so much effort studying us? Because we knew that someday you would come to Earth, and when that day arrived, we wanted to be ready. Dr. Chin's expression became more serious. But not ready for war, Admiral. Ready for something better. She activated another display that showed detailed plans for space stations, defensive systems, and technologies that looked far beyond anything in the Council's databases. We spent 2 centuries developing technology specifically designed to defend against Council weapons without causing harm to Council forces. We created medical protocols to treat every known alien species. We learned to speak every Council language fluently. We prepared for first contact in a way that no species in Council history has ever done. Zephyr was staring at a technical diagram that showed improvements to Council faster-than-light engines. These modifications would increase our travel speed by 60%. How is this possible? Your engineers are excellent, Commander, but they have been working within the limitations of conquest-focused thinking. When you design technology primarily for war, you miss opportunities for peaceful innovation. Dr. Chun smiled. We have had the luxury of designing technology for exploration, cooperation, and protection. Admiral Vextari felt something he had never experienced before. It was not fear, exactly, but it was close. It was the realization that everything he thought he knew about the galaxy was wrong. Dr. Chun, he said slowly. What do you want from the Galactic Council? We want to propose a partnership, Admiral, not conquest, not submission. Partnership. She led them to a final display that showed a map of the galaxy with trade routes, communication networks, and what appeared to be a completely different kind of organization than the Council's empire. We believe that the galaxy would be a much more prosperous and peaceful place if species worked together by choice rather than by force. We have technologies that could benefit everyone. Medical advances that could save millions of lives. Environmental systems that could restore damaged worlds. Energy sources that could power entire civilizations without destroying planets. Dr. Chun turned to face Vexthari directly. But we cannot share these things with an empire that takes them by force. We can only share them with friends who will use them to help others. You are proposing to change the entire structure of the Galactic Council, Vexthari said, . Yes, we are. We think it is time for the Council to evolve from an empire into something better. A true galactic community where every species has a voice and every world has a choice. Vexthari looked around the room at 6 months later. Admiral Vexthari sat at a small table outside a coffee shop in the human city called Geneva. The morning sun felt warm on his scaled skin, and the smell of fresh coffee mixed with the scent of flowers from nearby gardens. He held a ceramic cup carefully in his large hands, watching the steam rise from the dark liquid inside. Across the street, a group of human children were playing with young aliens in a park. A small blue-skinned child from the Zephyrian system was teaching human children how to make their traditional singing crystals. A young human girl was showing a group of 6-armed Hectari children how to use what humans called swings. Their laughter filled the air like music. Hard to believe, is it not? Said a voice behind him. Vexthari turned to see Commander Zephyra approaching with her own cup of coffee. She had taken to wearing human-style civilian clothes during her off-duty hours. Today she wore a simple green dress that complemented her blue skin. What is hard to believe? Vexthari asked, though he knew what she meant. 6 months ago, we came here to conquer these people. Now look at us, she gestured around the peaceful scene. Drinking their coffee, living in their cities, working alongside them as if we had been friends for years. Vexthari nodded slowly. The transformation had been remarkable, even by human standards. Within days of his first meeting with Dr. Chun, representatives from 17 different council species had arrived on Earth, not as conquerors, but as guests invited to see humanity's proposal for galactic cooperation. The results had surprised everyone, including the humans. Status report from the Centauri system, Zephyr said, sitting down and activating a small communication device. The Krillian colonies have officially voted to adopt the new council charter. That makes 43 systems that have converted to the cooperative model. And the resistance? Down to 12 systems still operating under the old conquest model. But even they are starting to see the benefits of voluntary cooperation. Zephyr smiled. It turns out that species work much harder when they choose to participate rather than when they are forced to. Vexthari thought about the changes he had witnessed. The Galactic Council still existed, but it bore little resemblance to the empire he had served for most of his life. Instead of conquest fleets, the Council now sent exploration ships and diplomatic missions. Instead of taking resources by force, they established trade agreements that benefited everyone involved. Instead of imposing Council law on conquered worlds, they helped species develop their own governments and then invited them to join a larger galactic community. The humans had kept their promise. Every technology they had developed was shared freely with any species that agreed to use it for peaceful purposes. Medical advances that had taken the Council centuries to develop were improved and distributed within months, faster than light. Travel became safer and more efficient. Environmental restoration techniques helped heal worlds that had been damaged by centuries of industrial exploitation. Admiral, Zephyr said, using his old title even though he now held a very different position. Do you ever regret the change? Vexthari considered the question seriously. He was no longer admiral of a conquest fleet. Instead, he served as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, helping to coordinate the peaceful transformation of galactic civilization. It was a job he had never imagined existing, much less one he would want. "Do you know what I regret most?" he finally answered. "I regret that it took us so long to find the humans. Think of how many species we could have helped instead of conquering. Think of how much knowledge we could have shared instead of hoarding. Think of how much suffering we could have prevented." A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Zephyr checked her device and smiled. "It is from Dr. Chun. The new medical facility on Arcturus Prime is complete. They are ready to begin treating the genetic disorders that have affected the Arcturian people for generations. The same disorders that the Council ignored for 300 years because they did not affect our military capability," Vextari said bitterly. "But they are being treated now. That is what matters." Vextari's personal communication device activated, and the familiar face of Secretary General Harrison appeared on the small screen. Even after 6 months of regular contact, the human's calm, peaceful expression still amazed the former admiral. "Good morning, Ambassador Vextari," Harrison said warmly. "I hope you are enjoying your coffee. I am Secretary General. Though I still find it strange that humans discovered such a perfect beverage and chose to share the recipe with everyone instead of keeping it secret." Harrison laughed. "That would not be very human of us, would it? Besides, coffee tastes better when it is shared with friends. What can I do for you today?" "We have received a request from the Outer Rim territories. 3 previously unknown species have made contact with our exploration ships. They are interested in learning about the new council model, but they are understandably nervous about dealing with any organization that calls itself Galactic." Vextari understood their concern. For centuries, any species that encountered the Galactic Council had been given a simple choice: submit or be conquered. These new species had probably heard stories about the Council's methods. "What do you need from me?" We thought it might help if they could speak with someone who used to serve in the old Council military. Someone who could explain how much things have changed. Vextari smiled. "You want me to convince them that the Wolf has become a sheep?" "More like convincing them that the Wolf has learned to be a sheepdog," Harrison replied. "Protecting the flock instead of hunting it." "I will prepare a presentation for them. When do they want to meet?" "Actually, they are already here. 3 ships arrived in the outer system this morning. Dr. Chun is coordinating the first contact protocols, but they specifically asked to speak with a former Council military officer." Vextari stood up from his table. "I will prepare my ship for departure immediately." "No need, Ambassador. They have agreed to meet on Earth. Their ships will arrive at Luna Station in 4 hours. Zephyr looked up from her communication device. "Sir, I am receiving similar requests from 5 other species that have been contacted by our exploration fleets. Word is spreading quickly about the Council's transformation." Harrison nodded. "We expected this. Change is frightening for many species, especially when they have learned to fear any contact with galactic civilizations. But we believe that trust builds trust. The more species that see the benefits of voluntary cooperation, the easier it becomes for others to take the risk." "And if some species refuse to change?" Vextari asked. "What happens to the systems that still operate under the old conquest model?" Harrison's expression became more serious. "We hope they will eventually see the advantages of the cooperative approach. But we will not force them to change. That would make us no better than the old Council. Even if they continue conquering other worlds? Even then, we will defend any species that asks for our protection, and we will offer sanctuary to refugees from conquest, but we will not impose our values by force. That is not the human way." Vextari marveled again at human thinking. They had the power to force the entire galaxy to adopt their cooperative model. Their defensive technology was still far superior to anything the old Council could deploy. But they chose persuasion over force, example over intimidation. "There is something else," Harrison continued. "The humans of Earth have been discussing a new proposal. We would like to invite other species to establish permanent colonies on Earth itself. Not as subjects or servants, but as equal citizens of a truly multi-species world. Zephyra nearly dropped her coffee cup. You want aliens to live permanently on your homeworld? Why not? Harrison asked. We have plenty of space, and we believe that diversity makes communities stronger. Besides, we have been preparing for multi-species cohabitation for 2 centuries. It seems wasteful not to use all that preparation. Vexthari thought about his comfortable apartment in Geneva, about the alien children playing with human children in the park, about the peaceful transformation of a galaxy that had known only conquest for millennia. Harrison, he said slowly, do you humans ever doubt yourselves? Do you ever wonder if your way of doing things is correct? Harrison smiled. Every day, Ambassador, doubt keeps us humble. It reminds us to keep learning and growing. But we have learned one thing that we are certain about. What is that? The galaxy is big enough for everyone to find happiness, but only if we work together to make it happen. As Vexthari ended the call and prepared to meet with the new species, he reflected on the profound change that had occurred. The Galactic Council's invasion of Earth had failed completely. But in failing, it had succeeded in ways that no conquest ever could. The humans had not defeated the Council. They had transformed it into something better, and in doing so, they had taught the galaxy the most important lesson in its history. Sometimes the greatest victory comes not from winning a war, but from turning enemies into family. Vexthari finished his coffee, smiled at the children playing in the park, and went to help welcome 3 more species to the growing galactic community that the humans called home.